Okay, I have all my supplies positioned around me in accessible reach. I have my paintbrush for this and my metallic paints that I talked about earlier, and I have my pre-painted canvas. Today we're going to do some modern art, and I started with a red, and then I'm going to add an orange shading on it. I'm going to use lots of glazes and metallics in this painting to make it interesting and put high depth on it. So I'm going to take some of my orange copper pan paint. It's not mixed up very well, so there's a little bit of glaze on the top. It definitely doesn't matter. It's just that it is a glaze base. I'm going to shade in a little bit on my red for interest. You see, this won't really show through too well, but you're just adding some color underneath. And you see the focal point here. Your eye is being guided through a pathway. Your red goes like this, and your orange here. So if you want to look at the orange, you look up here, or you look down here. You're not like looking in 4 different directions or in a whole bunch of spots. This art is kind of like smooth and sleek. It's not too messy. So make this a little bit darker here so it's noticeable. And at the end, I'll have a nice photo gallery for everybody to see the finished work. I'm going to carry that over onto the edge. I'm not worried about runs. This is a modern painting. I don't really care. Now if I was doing a landscape painting, like you usually do most frequently, I'd be more concerned. I'm getting in a little corner here in the canvas. I'm just trying to make sure that there's some color on it. Okay, and again, the reason I'm using this tin sheet with the edges on it here is that it catches any paint that drips. The cardboard will absorb some, but I'm going to be using a lot of paint and it's going to get really messy. So I'm done with this paint here for now. Paint I always have plastic accessible, although right now it's not in iron freeze. So I have a big sheet of plastic right here. The brush from drying out. Okay, so I have here a whole range of metallic colors. For instance, this here is a metallic gold, and it'll also say this one here is transparent. And this one here is a sheer. The difference between a sheer and transparent is transparent will have a little bit more color. Sheer just gives a little bit of sparkle. And this one here is a copper. It's opaque. You won't be able to see through this paint. So basically, you want to build your colors from the deepest, most opaque to most transparent and sheer on the top. Therefore, that you can see through. Because if you put an opaque on top of a whole bunch of clears, it defeats the purpose of all the clears. If you got it. Okay, so we're going to take some copper. I've decided to entitle this painting Cherry Orange Candy Melt. Basically what it's going to look like. Okay, so I want to do something, I was thinking maybe like a run or something eventually. And then I want to do a cross with a gloss. So I'm going to paint a little bit like stripes. As you can see, my paint is the thickest in the center of my canvas. That's just my personal choice for today. I could decide to bring it in off the edges, but instead I decided to start in the middle and then work it out to the edges. So shaded and fading in both directions. Try to put your stripes or whatever you do in art, any object should be in pairs or groups of 3, ideally. If you're just putting them all equally spaced, it'll look too much like a zebra. Again, I don't really care too much about the edges right now, as long as it's kind of, the stripes are continued slightly. This metallic paint will sparkle and shine when placed in the sunlight, and nice sunny rooms will definitely brighten it up if it doesn't already. In any lighting. continuing my stripes, and again, work on this side here. So, there we have some copper. I really don't have too much of a plan except for what I have like an idea that I want a mixture of colors. Red's always handy. Right, here's a red. Now this is more cherry colored, hence the cherry part of its name. It is opaque also, so it's not transparent. Okay, so always go on the bottom. And if I can get this thing open, okay, so these metallics paint, they're Modern Masters metallic paints. They're excellent. These here are just little testers. You can get them in gallons or quarts, I believe, at high-class art stores. Now I'm using a fan brush here. It's slightly dry, unevenly, so the bristles are separated and bunched up. That's alright. I let sometimes them dry completely flat by running my finger through and flattening it out. Other times I'll just let it dry in this uneven fashion. I have certain brushes that I let dry one way and the other way, so I don't wreck them by doing it the wrong way once. Okay, so here I'm adding kind of that's a little bit more stripes. This is cherry color. Try to go from dark to light or light to dark, unless you want extreme contrast. Okay, and then I'm doing some really thick, gobby ones. And this thick paint, it will stay thick, so in the final painting, you'll see a texture. There's a little bit of splashes right now. I'm getting rid of them. Probably when it comes to the glaze, because glaze always tends to dry flat, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. Of course, the best thing about art is you can be creative, and in modern art, it's especially true. And also, modern art is the easiest to create. Anybody can do it. You just have to kind of have basic techniques, know your colors a bit, and want to have fun. On the other hand, doing landscapes or realism is practice. A lot of it. Oh, I like that. See, I'm going to kind of fan my brush out around a little bit, spreading the color. Remember, this is metallic, so you'll see kind of a metallic brush stroke. It doesn't look so straight now. I like it. See how it turns out in the end. Okay. Now, basically, because there's a red undercoat, if I rub a little bit off with my thumb on the edge, you don't really notice it because it just looks like it's part of the texture. In this case, if you do something really terrible, you do want to cover it up, though. Okay, so now we're going to bring out some glazes, and I have one here, for instance. This here is glacis, I believe. Don't know how to speak French, so excuse my lousy French. Alright,